Hello everybody. Today is March 8th, 2022, and the significance of that date is that exactly 25 years ago, some friends of mine and I started cutting up wood for the original Feather River route that we built in Redmond, Washington. I'm standing here in Atlanta, Georgia with the fourth version, and many of the sections of this layout hail back to that original layout. So I thought I'd give a quick update to see what the layout looks like after 25 years. We'll start over here in the staging yard. We have an upper and a lower representing the ends of the layout, return loops on each one. We'll start down here in Warm Springs so you can see kind of where we are. Have 3 arrival tracks, 8 departure tracks. I've been matching engines because we need 3 engines, 3 locomotives now for every train to get up the hill, given I started waiting some of the cars. In the back is the start of the Tesla unloading ramp you see in yellow there. We have a Denny's here in front. We have a paper mill that will be kit bashed. And then this is the Fremont industrial area that has a number of industries that a local will switch. And as you can see, we have full signaling throughout the layout and a separate dispatcher that has been great for operating sessions. As we come down here toward the Port of Oakland, I've removed a crossover there at the back. You'll see the wire sticking up. Just be replacing that track because we weren't using it, and it was just another signal location that I will be moving to this location here, the turnout that goes into the Fremont industrial area. So that'll now be fully signaled that the dispatcher can control. So in the near future, I plan to completely detail the port area. And as we swing around here, we'll see that we're getting to the end of the double track at East Oakland. We now come through Niles Canyon. I've temporarily painted where the water will be. This scene will be mostly deciduous trees, which I'm in the process of making. It was easier to clear out the old one when I redid this area. Clear out all the trees. Starting to play around with the backdrop. Admittedly not very good, but keep working on it. We leave Niles Canyon, head into Altamont, where you can see a coal train waiting. This is Kabasi Coal, named after a friend of mine in the coal business down in Australia. This will be where trains originate and arrive with not only coal hoppers, but tank cars for diesel fuel and box cars for supplies. You'll note that it goes through the wall where it pops out on the other side for the power plant, so we have the empty in loads out for both sides, the opposite of each other. Old trick in the model railroad world. So we're heading down here, we're going over Altamont Pass. We have the Greenville Trestle, which was part of the original layout, a bridge that my friend built. All of the scenery there is pretty much complete. Highway 580 here goes over and under the railroad as it does in the real world. I'll be detailing that bridge and touching up the roads. Redmond cut, and in here you can see I'm working on the farm area, putting the road in, and I should have that detailed here in the next couple of weeks. We come around and we have a cornfield now that also will get some detail. And we head into Stockton, where we will have a Amazon distribution warehouse in this spot. Behind it is the Port of Stockton. We've added the slide switches for manually throwing the turnouts. On the left is the Stockton passing siding, extra long, with 8 tracks in the yard plus numerous spurs and different industries. Along the back there, you'll notice some BNSF trains. Those are 2 staging tracks that I will probably just go ahead and leave open. I hate hidden track. And this is where trains will originate, and they will head eastbound up to Ketty Y, where they'll depart the UP tracks where they have trackage rights onto the High Line and into the other room where the staging tracks for trains coming this way will be. So that BNSF trackage comes across here at BNSF Junction. Here's the other side of that coal facility, which is going to be a power plant. Highway 50 through Sacramento, a big warehouse in the back. We'll have a classic car show there, and then old Sacramento, which I'm looking forward to kind of detailing that scene with people and other details. The levee that is part of the original Transcon going over Donner Pass. Here we go across the American River. And again, just painted it blue, and we'll come back and finalize the painting on the backdrop and people kayaking and swimming in the river. We're now coming around to Oroville, and there are numerous industries here, the most significant of which is the grain facility. And we have trains that will come out of Stockton to switch the grain facilities and a couple of the industries here. Interesting that they'll have to cross the main line and get dispatcher clearance to do that. We go further eastbound. We go across the spillway from the Oroville Dam. The very green power windmills are going in. See those up and operational soon. It is California after all. Here's a gravel pit at Elsie, which does exist and provides ballast for both the UP and the BNSF. So it's nice to grab cars here and take them down to BNSF Junction for an interchange. We head up through Cherokee Tunnel and onto a tall bridge that then comes around to a nice scene that we will finish off here shortly. It's the Poe substation, power station, and the Feather River will flow through here to the North Fork Bridge there in the distance. I'm looking forward to getting that scene detailed. You can see starting some detail scenes here. And we will wrap around until we go across the beautiful North Fork Bridge. In several places I've added postcards or other pictures of the real area. As you can see here in the lower right, a picture of the real North Fork Bridge and the beautiful model, which I should be adding some railing and pouring the water. Should be a very nice scene for some of the pictures we'd like to submit to the magazines. So the train comes back, and now it's in Pulga, which is an extra long 3-track siding. We have definitely used this in operating sessions. This represents the midpoint of the layout, and therefore lots of trains can get jammed up if it were just a 2-track siding. Signal bridges are from Shapeways, 3D printed, and my friend Rick went ahead and added the signal heads. Here I just put a shelf to get it kind of behind the Oroville scene. So it's not intended to be a major part of the railroad, but it does get us up to the 2nd level. And we wrap around here, go through Tunnel 32, and onto the Ketty Y Bridge. Ketty Y Bridge has taken a beating from the move and from me working on the background there, completing the High Line tunnel and all the scenery around it. So now we're running High Line trains through that tunnel. It was in need of a complete redo on the track work. We were having a lot of trouble with it. So I tore the whole hillside apart and relayed the track and redid the scenery. Here, because we're not using the 3rd leg of the Y, that tunnel will become a cave-in sort of a scene, no trespassing sort of a scene, just to, make it look interesting. Here we've added lots of trees. We're now on the second level, coming into Quincy and Quincy Junction. Here you can see a nice wood trestle bridge. That's the Quincy Railroad that goes down to their lumber mill in Quincy, interchanging their center beam and bulkhead cars. Then we'll have manifest freights coming by to pick those up and drop off empties. Here we're coming through the end of the Quincy siding, and we go across a nice little bridge scene here. I could use another coat of paint on that bridge. And again, we've added lots of trees, so the trains run through the scenery, not next to it. Here you'll see Highway 70 that will be pouring pretty soon. This is the Williams Loop, which actually does exist, and that's a kind of a swampy area that just need to pour some water and a few details in there. So we come around here, and we're now heading into Spring Garden. That's where we park our maintenance away train. I redid this completely. This was one of the original sections of the first layout, and we never got reliable operation across a couple of the turnouts. And I wanted to extend the maintenance away track, so I completely ripped it all out. It was just easier than trying to patch some of the old trackage. Coming down here, we end Spring Garden and we head across the Clyo Trestle, which is all 10 towers of the original trestle. About a 1,200 scale foot long bridge into Tunnel 17. And when it comes out of 17, it goes through some open running here. Added more trees. You can always use more trees. And then here we're going to get to the honeymoon tunnels. That's 18, 19, and 20, which do exist. We come into Sloat, but where the High Line went off Ketty Y, I've disguised it, yet still have access. So you can see, if I put my hand back here, it goes into a groove. So we have a trench there that I can access the trains when they're running, but when you're down at eye level, no idea that it's there. So we come into Yonkins Lumber. This will be a big industry that will support also its own switcher, and not only the pulpwood cars, finished lumber, some box cars and tank cars, so should be a busy industry. We come past a small hill, like kind of a scenic divider here. And the last track work I'm planning to do is in this area, which will be a tie plant. And this is where wood will be delivered from the adjoining Yonkins Lumber and will be treated with the creosote. And so that should be a pretty bustling industry. To keep people from operating from the aisle over here and having a hard time seeing it, because now we're at 61 inches, I'm going to use a step-up platform on the other side in the hallway there that will allow operators to switch that industry from the other side, so they'll be able to be up higher and out of the way from people in the aisle. That space was originally destined to be Portola Rail Museum, but I've reduced that to this corner here where you can see some of the cars in this big building. So I'll put that in when I put the tie plant in, and it'll just be a representation of the museum. And now we are at the upper staging, which is Portola. Those front 3 tracks are arrivals, and it comes down to the other end, makes a big U-turn, comes back into the yard. So basically it restages itself, and that helps a lot between op sessions. The other imposter is an HO locomotive there. Long story there. But it was good to get that and see kind of the scale difference. It's nice when people come over, kind of explain the different sizes. But there you have it. That's where we stand 25 years after starting the layout, after rebuilding it 4 times. And every time has been better than the last. Lots of great times with good friends. And I'm looking forward to many more years and getting this more detailed, buildings, people, which honestly, I've never gotten it that far. So great, and thanks to all those that have been part of this journey. And a big happy silver anniversary, 25 years of the Feather River route. God bless you all. Good night.